The rising global population threatens food security, as the increased demand for food puts pressure on our agricultural resources and production systems. This increased demand intensifies problems like land degradation, water scarcity, climate change, and competition for arable land, making it harder to provide nutritious food for everyone, especially in areas already experiencing food insecurity. Focusing on innovative technologies and sustainable agricultural practices, these challenges can become valuable opportunities that can drive economic growth and technological advancement. Research for Development, or R4D, plays a pivotal role in addressing the challenge of food security. In the Philippines, an organization is emphasizing the transformative power of technology to drive the sector towards its optimal potential through Research for Development, or R4D. The Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural Research, or DA-BAR, supported by various executive orders and Republic Act 8435, also known as Agri-Fisheries Modernization Act, or AFMA. DA-BAR is mandated to ensure that all agricultural research is coordinated and undertaken for maximum utility to agriculture. DA-BAR coordinates, integrates, funds and manages the R4D system in the country to optimize its use for the sector. It is envisioned to be the lead R4D coordinating agency, promoting a technology-empowered agriculture and fisheries sector that contributes to inclusive growth. To ensure that research leads to desired results and long-term impacts, DA-BAR follows the R4D Impact Pathway Framework. It assists DA-BAR in planning, monitoring, and evaluating the effectiveness of R4D projects under rice, corn and cassava, livestock and poultry, fisheries and aquaculture, organic agriculture, climate change, biotechnology, support to technology commercialization, agri-fisheries technology business incubation, and scale-up, thereby connecting research outputs to outcomes and societal impact, aligning efforts with industry goals, and generating meaningful, measurable change. It is DA-BAR's responsibility to ensure that suitable technologies and interventions are promptly accessible for the sector's utilization. However, DA-BAR cannot accomplish this alone. It needs capable partners in cascading these R4D outputs and outcomes that will advance technology-driven agriculture and fisheries sector. Collaboration is the backbone of research, and seamless integration of interdisciplinary expertise and resources is crucial for achieving common goals. By partnering with DA-BAR, we attain greater productivity in a cost-effective manner. Like the age-old adage, the sum is greater than its parts. Here at DA-BAR, we firmly believe that the power of collaboration has the potential to unleash a magnitude of possibilities beyond measure. We offer funding opportunities that can substantially improve the effectiveness and breadth of research endeavors. We facilitate networks and linkages to enhance opportunities to leverage expertise and resources. And more significantly, we serve as a hub for invaluable knowledge exchange, harnessing emerging and innovative technologies to tackle pressing sectoral challenges and global issues.
to the Department of Agriculture family, to our colleagues in the Day Bureau of Agricultural Research, to our farmers and fisherfolk. Good morning. I'm Christina S. Estrada from the Knowledge Management and Information Systems Division of the Day Bureau of Agricultural Research, and I will be your host for today's online seminar. Isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat uli, and I hope we're all healthy and well-rested. Here in the bar, we talk about how research can bring about positive change, not just to our farmers and fisherfolk and the agri-fishery sector, but also the society as a whole. Today, we will be holding another special episode made possible through our collaboration with the Advocates of Research and Innovation in Agriculture, or ARIA Incorporated. Officially, the title of the seminar is Institutionalizing Impact Assessment in Research Organization. And before we introduce our speaker and formally start the knowledge sharing, the usual reminders of course. So please comment your location and affiliation para alam natin kung hanggang saan ang naabot ng ating serbisyo. And of course, please follow our social media pages. So it's facebook.com/DABarOfficial or search nyo lang Day Bureau of Agricultural Research. On IG, you can just follow us at DABarOfficial. And of course, if you want to revisit past seminar episodes kasi sobrang dami nating knowledge exchange activities, you can check our YouTube account. It's Bureau of Agricultural Research or youtube.com/DABar at DABar Official. Kasi po, tinatanggalan ni Meta ang live videos in 30 days. Sayang ng ating mga pwedeng matutunan. And also, we will be posting one form only. So, it's the attendance sheet and we will be posting it right before the lecture ends. So, before 11:30. And dapat masagutan niyo po yan by before 12. And of course, more importantly, please ask questions sa ating expert kasi hindi siya laging andito. Anyway, our speaker for today holds a PhD in agricultural economics, specializing in resource and environmental economics, and a Master of Science in Environmental Studies, both from UPLB. He earned his bachelor's degree in agricultural engineering from the Visayas State University, where he also served as a faculty member before joining UPLB. He previously served as a senior research officer and a senior economist at the Economy and Environment Program for Southeast Asia of the International Development Research Center based in Singapore. In 2021, he was awarded a John Dillon Fellowship of the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research. His research interests include forestry and economics and policy, forest finance and data analytics, agricultural economics, impact evaluation, natural capital accounting, economic valuation, payments for ecosystem services, and the economics of climate change. Over the years, he has collaborated extensively with national and international organizations and funding agencies on a wide range of socioeconomic, natural resource, and environmental research initiatives. He is also a specialized consultant of the Advocates of Research and Innovation in Agriculture, or the ARIA Incorporated. He is currently a Professor 10 at the Institute of Renewable Natural Resources, College of Forestry and Natural Resources of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and a Scientist 1 under the UP Scientific Productivity System. Let's all welcome Dr. Canesio D. Predo. Good morning po, Doc Caning.
Good morning, Tin. Thank
Good
you
morning.
for that kind introduction, and thank you for the IBAR for inviting me to share this insights on impact assessment. I cannot see
Sige po, Doc, bigay ko na po yung floor sa'yo kasi sure ko magandang discussion to. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. I cannot hindi ako maka-control ng screen ko. Sorry.
Sige po, sir, we'll just be magbigay ka na lang po ng prompt sa amin tapos kami na magko-control.
Okay, sige, thank you. Okay, so good morning everyone. thank you for attending this seminar series, and I hope you will get something out of this discussion this morning. So the topic assigned to me is on institutionalizing impact assessment in research organization. So what we will be discussing here is I will be at the outset I'll uh, try to use the impact assessment and impact evaluation interchangeably, although they are not exactly similar. Next slide, please. So the focus of this session is to address how we can strengthen accountability, learning, and societal influence from our research for development, and as well as what are the requirements for assessing long-term results, effectiveness, and significance of research activities and interventions on stakeholders and the broader community. So the primary goal, this is not about how to conduct impact assessment or impact evaluation, but the goal here is to provide a framework for institutionalizing impact assessment in research organizations such as the IBAR or other research organizations in the university in the country. Next slide, please. So this is the outline of my presentation. First, we have just discussed the focus and goal, then we'll provide the overview and motivations, and then what's the rationale behind institutionalizing impact assessment, what it means in practice, and then what are some of the key frameworks and methods available, and then what are the steps that can be done to integrate this into our system if that is not yet in place, and then some of the policy and organizational implications. Then at the end, we'll have some discussions and question and answer forum part. Next slide, please. So as being, I heard the video presentation, audio video presentation of the IBAR. Actually, it was really about how we will look at our research. So R4D, or Research for Development in Agriculture and even in Natural Resources, is an investment in the production of knowledge and technology that must compete with other activities for scarce resources. So para siyang negosyo, ano? So it's like any other investment, it involves a choice either to reduce our current consumption, our own activity now, and look at our or forgo this investment. No, so it's like any other business. We have to look at where the greater return. So we have to focus our investment. So governments have to decide what resources to make available for public sector research for technology development and knowledge generation. So that's what they are doing every year. They are doing some budget allocation. The research administrators have to allocate resources across research problems, programs, people, and places. So this is where the results of impact assessments will feed into the research prioritization of budget and programs. So to make decisions effectively, decision makers have to evaluate alternatives and set priorities. So as I mentioned, the prioritization will come as a result of using the results of our impact assessment. Next slide, please. So the increasing scarcity of public funds and a greater accountability of agricultural research investments necessitates this kind of activity, the impact evaluation or impact assessment of our research for development. So government, donors, and research managers are increasingly demanding assessment of economic returns to their investment in research and technology being generated. So when we mean increasingly demanding assessment, not only in economic term, but the other social, environmental, and aspects of the impacts of our research. Next slide, please. So the motivations in that our impact assessment is that it is part of the broader agenda of evidence-based policy making. So if we don't have information about what is the impact of our R4D, then we don't have basis for its allocation and priority setting. It is also because the focus now has shifted from inputs and outputs to higher level outcomes and results. So before, when we invest in our research, we are about looking at how many hectares are being planted, how many trees are being planted and harvested. But now it's going more. It's something about what's happening to the society, the societal impacts, and the longer impacts of our results. Concerns for enhanced accountability, inform allocations, budget allocations, and better guidance for policy decisions. Next slide, please. So, why we need to evaluate or assess impacts? There are three motivations here. No, we need to learn. So this is the learning objectives, and we can see here what works and what doesn't work. So malaman natin kung yung nag-work, we can continue. Yung hindi nag-work, we will discontinue, or maybe we can revise the implementation of that project or program. And we need to manage better. So this is where the management objectives come in. How can we make our policies, programs, project more efficient and effective? And also we need to keep clients or funders, for example, DEBAR or other funding agencies in the country, and maybe external donors, happy about what we have accomplished. So this is the accountability objective. So how can we justify continuation or expansion of existing policies, programs, or projects? Next slide, please. Because there are risks. If we don't evaluate, there are risks associated with that. We can encounter an effective program, policy, or project will continue to waste public money. So we can see a lot of this happening. No, we will miss opportunity for saving money, which could have been spent on more worthwhile projects. If there are investments that are not working, then we have missed that opportunity of channeling that investment somewhere else. We will miss opportunity to improve policy, programs, or projects and generating better benefits. And of course, we cannot confidently attribute positive changes in a desired outcome. So there must be this attribution. Ano ba yung causal outcome na yun? Ano bang dahilan, no? So overall, we can say that it is very costly not to evaluate. And at the end, ignorance is very costly. So having no knowledge is something like an ignorance, and it is very costly. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to show this, that there are different types of evaluation. And this is the type of evaluation that can be done when this impact or impact assessment or impact evaluation will be put in place in the system in a research organization. One is needs assessment. It answers the question of what is the problem. And then there's also program theory assessment. How in theory does the program solves the problem? And the process evaluation, did the program work as planned? So tinitingnan yung process kasi very important yung paano ginawa, no? Hindi lang yung input, output, but anong processes involved, bakit ito yung naging output. That is the output of the program or project. And then the one that we always looking at, akala natin ito lang talaga, the impact evaluation. This is where most economists are doing, but in the end, I will suggest that maybe this will be done by a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary team. So it will answer the questions where the goals achieved, at what magnitude, for whom, and why. And then to look at whether it provide what we call contribution to our economy, we can look at the cost effectiveness analysis and the benefit cost analysis. So given the magnitude of the impact and cost, how does it compare to alternatives? This will answer whether our investment have come up with the expected return to outcome and results. Next slide, please. Because of the changing research landscape, as I mentioned earlier, there's an increasing demand for accountability and transparency. So we have seen this in the very recent months, no? Not only in research for development and in other sectoral projects in the country. So there's a pressure to demonstrate societal value. So ano ba, sino bang makikinabang nitong research natin? Yung lang bang researcher? O yung institution lang ba? Or kabuuan ng society? Who are the society, no? Society could be the different stakeholders. And evolving funding requirements. So there are other metrics that being used to assess the impacts, and there are the open science that all outputs are now can be seen by everyone. So we are now publishing or disseminating in an open science environment. And we are shifting public expectations, not only the outputs, but the outcome or the impacts beyond the project's lifespan. Next slide, please. So what is research impact? Research impact is meaning that some of the definition that I got is the contribution of research to policy, environment, economy, or the society as a whole. So it's not only about the number of publications that we made, no, number of publications we produced, and not only the number of people that has been trained or something, but it can be also be direct, the technology, or indirect. It could be the policy influence. So how a project influence policy or legislation or ordinance, or maybe a behavioral change, maybe something that very important na hindi naman siya nakabigay ng mataas na welfare or income, but yung behavior ng tao that has changed in terms of use of the resource. So ito yung tinawag na nudging the behavior, no? Okay. Next slide, please. So why we need to institutionalize? There are different reasons, as already mentioned, but these are the common one, the most important one. We need to move impact from ad hoc to systematic. That means if we can observe, I don't know if in the country, we have this very systematic way of doing impact evaluation or impact assessment. Sometimes we just evaluate or put impact assessment on a large project. Not all projects are subjected to impact assessment or impact evaluation. So we have to put a system that every time we have this activity or project, program, or policy should undergo impact assessment or impact evaluation. And there should be a need to build internal capacity and consistency, because if the capacity of the organization is weak to conduct, then they don't mind doing that. So this must be a requirement, no? And it also enables learning across projects, so we can learn. So the cross learning between institutions, between researchers will be enhanced, and also it aligns research with societal priorities. So with the impact evaluation feeding into the prioritization and budget allocation, then this is very important, aligning our research with societal priorities. Next slide, please. And the current gaps that, as of now, there are advanced organizations that are doing impact evaluation. Like, for example, I have some projects with the DOST PICARD. Sorry, I don't have project with DEBAR, but I know that you have also some impact evaluation unit. But in PICARD, I can only they have this impact evaluation unit that at the start the project they will have it's part of the design of the proposal. Then they have the inception report, and then they have the midterm review, and then the terminal review. But the impact evaluation beyond at the end of the project is not common at all. So mayroong iba, impact evaluation, depende sa project kung malaki ba yan or hindi, or it has siguro mayroong potential for a large impact assessment. Sa ibang international organization, ganun din I have experience, in my experience only with Australian Center for International Agricultural Research, ganun din ang practice, ano? And mayroon din silang ganong ginagawa, no? Naging systematic but not fully systematic. So as of now, there's still that gap of ad hoc type of project-based impact assessment. Also, there's a weak linkages between research and policy outcome. So ito yung gusto nating na dapat all our research are policy relevant, so that magagamit talaga siya for our legislation, designing an ordinance, designing a what kind of mechanism, like for example, in our research now, we are having an advocacy for payment for ecosystem services. So we use the results of our research into the how it can be institutionalized into the provincial or national level, hopefully, no? And then there is this limited capacity for assessment. So I know in the different issues is the maraming wala pang ganun capacity for assessment, but we have if you can, I can maybe I can provide some suggestions, or maybe there must be a regional capacity building for this, no? And where UP and other institutions can provide service, no? And also the area, no? The area, I was just invited by area, no? Area, the advocates of research in agriculture and advocates of research in innovation, agriculture and innovations. So they are the one inviting me for this TrueBar to this impact assessment webinar. And there's the absence of organizational incentive. So is there something with me on what is it in it for me to have to conduct a impact assessment? So kung walang incentives, bakit ko gagawin? So dapat incentivize natin yung impact assessment within that or within the organization. Next slide, please. So how this if we want to institutionalize what it looks like. So ito yung kailangan na mangyayari, no? So there must be a policy, so and mandates, governance framework in place. Kung wala yan, I think sa DBAR na ano kung mayroon na ito, no? So but kung kailangan pa strengthen, so, siguro yun yung gagawin siguro ng mga ibang research organization to copy what has been done in other organizations. And in DBAR, maybe this has already been in place. And there must be a dedicated impact assessment units where ito lang talaga yung ano nila. Maganda ka sana kung independent ito. So in ADB or in World Bank, independent yung impact evaluation unit nila. They will not report to the president. They report to the board directly. So that mawala yung influence ng ganun ang ginawa nila eh. So I don't know kung kaya itong gagawin sa atin na independent siya outside sa ano, hindi siya mag-report sa director, but wala pa akong nakita na ganun dito sa country natin, no? And there are many standardized tools and methods already. So we need only to pull them up, no? I-compile natin yon, and we can have some piloting kung paano siya gagamitin. And then integration into the performance management. So paano ba siya mabagyan ng scoring kung ito bang sa performance ng mga tao na na-involve doon sa impact assessment. So hindi lang yung mga tao but all the researchers that have been involved doing research for development, malagyan sila ng score for their promotion siguro, no? Mapasama yon, no? So next slide please. And the core principles is that we have to make our research relevant and rigor, meaning using credible and transparent methods, and use results to improve. So we need to learn also, and inclusive. We engage our stakeholders throughout. So we don't do our research by our own alone, but we need to co-develop or co-design with the stakeholders. Next slide, please. And these are the different conceptual frameworks that has being used, and the most popular is the theory of change, wherein you look at how the activity and specific interventions lead to the desired outcome. And then the next one is the logic models, which is a more structured visual representation of how a program or project is supposed to work. And the research impact pathways, I heard from the audiovisual that mayroon na sa DBAR, no? Itong research impact pathways, paano nila mapalagay yung ideas, from ideas to activities up to the impacts na ma-feel ng mga stakeholders natin. And the payback framework. So I do some research for this presentation. Nakita ko itong payback framework. Hindi ko ito ginamit dati, but the gist here is that it's just about measuring the benefits of our investment in research for development. Next slide, please. So overall, the framework to institutionalize is this. These are the following necessary activity: establishment of a clear definition and purpose, development of impact assessment tools and methodologies, integration of impact assessment in research design, continuous stakeholder involvement and feedback, and then evaluation and continuous improvement, reporting and accountability and collaboration and partnership. So I'm just elaborating what has been said before, no? And the methods that are available, there are so many now, no? Before we just if economists are doing the impact evaluation, tinitingnan lang yung contribution ng project doon sa various outcomes, no? But now we have this quantitative, which using the literature, kung ano na nandiyan nakapublish sa journal, or yung nasa social media, itong Altmetrics, and also economic analysis. But mayroon ding qualitative. So when I have implemented my projects, I enjoyed learning from our social scientists how they will look at the qualitative nature of impacts, no? So they use case studies, the narrative, so and then the contributions. It's more about more than numbers. So we have a project called more than numbers. So marami kaming nakuhang number, but what is the story behind those numbers, no? And then most popular now is the mixed methods, meaning we can use the qualitative and quantitative, and then triangulating our evidence. And then also, it's very important to assess long-term results. And this is where we use longitudinal studies, or we call this we could have a panel data, meaning we cap on having that survey for an interval, different intervals, so that we can capture the changes over time. And then maybe a follow-up surveys on our post-project monitoring to capture sustained change over time. So very important kasi may project na ang impact niya maybe not only about 5 years after the project has completed, may iba hanggang 20, no? May long-term project. So dapat hindi natin kalimutan yon. So mayroon tayong short-term impact, medium-term impact, saka long-term impact. So dapat, ang kailangan pala, nalimutan kong emphasize, for each project, there must be a baseline. No? Kailangan yung baseline. So ito yung hindi nangyayari pa ngayon. Sa project namin with the Australian Center for International Agricultural Research, kasi community ito technology, it's more about livelihood improvement through facilitated extension modality. We have really done a baseline survey to look at ano yung mga status nila across different situations, socioeconomic and other physical dimensions. And then at the end, at the middle, we are doing some assessment, midterm, and then at the end, we have also terminal assessment. But it must be also assessed maybe 5 years or 10 years after the project has been completed. So ito yung assessing long-term results. Next slide, please. And the key indicators, ito yung the policy influence of our research. Ito yung pinakamahirap. Ang hirap kausapin yung mga sa legislation natin. Mas madali pa siguro doon sa mga provincial or sa local kasi nandoon lang siya. But going into the higher level at the national level, ito yung medyo challenging. But it's very important how our research influence policy, technology adoption. In my assessment, sa literature review ko na ginawa, medyo mababa yung technology adoption ng Philippines, no? I don't know why. Maganda lang kung nandiyan pa yung project. But once the project has been completed, unti-unti nang nawala yung mga adapters. I don't know anong nangyayari. Sabi ko, paano kaya to? Mag-retire na lang ako, ganun pa rin, ano? And then we have the capacity building. We need to capacitate our researchers. Kahit magaling na yan, but kahit pag kagaling ang isang researcher, mag-learn pa rin yan ng new knowledge, no? And the important is to have a behavioral or social change. Indicator ito, halimbawa, yung mga tao ayaw gumamit noong soil and water technology. But kung nakita nila na magkaroon pala sila ng savings in the future, so nagkaroon sila ng behavior. No? In our project, I can cite na yung behavioral change because of the social capital formation, yung hindi dati nag-uusap, ngayon nag-uusap na, and it has a positive impacts on the technology adoption. And then effectiveness, we can measure how efficiently research translate into real world outcomes and societal benefits. So effective ba yan? So given na yung tawag nito yung policy, given na. So it must be done, but what is the most effective strategy to achieve that outcome? So kailangan din natin magawa yan. Ito yung one of the indicators. So next slide please. In the organizational integration, we need to embed in the strategic planning. So lahat ng organization, mayroong strategic planning every year. So dapat, kung wala pa ito, dapat ma-integrate natin. Link to funding allocation. So mayroon ba tayong sariling fund allocation within the organization, or we can source outside? And then require impact statements in the proposal. Mayroong funding agency na dapat nakalagay yon, and then align with national priorities. Next slide, please. And then this is in building institutional capacity, we have this train, develop, establish, and create. So train researchers and managers, develop internal guidance and toolkits. So dapat clear yun kung ano maging, kasi makalink sa performance nila. Establish data system. Dito tayo weak. Kasi every researchers try to keep their own data. They don't share. So if we have a repository, which I will discuss later also, magkaroon ng data sharing, no? Then that would make our life easier as a researcher. And then create interdisciplinary teams. Hindi pwedeng stand alone. With the complexity of our problems right now, interdisciplinary teams are really important in solving our agriculture and natural resource problems. Next slide, please. And in terms of governance, ito natin kailangan. We need to get the commitment of our director, our president, our whatever is it. Nawala. Next, yan. And then we have to establish the clear rules and accountability of each one, regular reporting to governing bodies, and incentivizing excellence in impact generation. Next slide, please. Next slide. Dito na yung data infrastructure. So sa data infrastructure, I suggest that there must be a centralized impact database. So sa World Bank, mayroon sila. And even sa CGR, you can actually download with the complete metadata. Maganda yun kasi if you are not the researchers involved, you can look at, magamit ko to in my own work. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel again. So ito yung important, lalo na ngayon with the AI technology. And then the digital tracking tools, dito na papasok yung AI, no? And then the knowledge repositories and dashboard. So nandiyan na dapat sa natin, sa website natin, lahat ng mga data, yung lahat ng mga information resulting from our research. Okay? Next slide, please. And this is most important. In all my research years, I like to have this communication and engagement. And we engage the communication experts for this because hindi ako magaling na mag-communicate. So we have to share the success stories and lessons learned, engage end users early. So that means nandoon sila, kasama sila doon sa planning, and then after the implementation, and then up to the end. So mayroon tayong feedbacking, use plain language. So ito yon where the communication experts very important. Yung matranslate yung language natin, iba-iba tayo. So paano siya maging madaling maintindihan, easy to understand, and evaluate the significance of research activities and interventions. Okay, next slide, please. And the challenges that are facing this institutionalization of research in organization, impact assessment in research organization, is that how we can attribute our research impacts. Kasi maraming funding agency, maraming gumagawa. Paano natin? Mayroong mga methodologies na ganyan. So this cannot be discussed here, but there are already methodologies to have what is this contribution or attribution. And also, lagi naman kulang yung resources natin. So we have to use our resource efficiently kasi we are always facing resource constraints. And we know that yung research natin, yung time, no, as mentioned earlier, hindi siya yung after the end of the project, wala pa yung impacts doon. Even the outcomes, hindi pa siya nangyari. It's only the output. So we have to look at how many years bago pa dumating yung impact na yun, kung mayroon man, no? And then, the most difficult one is resistance to change. So maraming, komportable na ako dito. Ayaw kong magbago, no? So, ito yung resistant to change. Okay? Next slide, please. So, we need to have an enabling policies. So, maybe national research evaluation frameworks. I think nandiyan na yan. Donor guidelines for impact evidence and institutional mandates for impact reporting. I think these are already in place, but we need to revisit them whether align pa rin siya sa current needs natin. So, next slide, please. So, ito yung mga examples. I will not read na mayroong mga impact assessment, impact evaluation in their unit. And although not all are perfect, but some are in an advanced stage. So, pwede niyong butahan yung hindi ko nalagay yung website nila. What's the lessons we can learn? That they are structured, transparent, and iterative. Yung impact evaluation. Hindi lang siya straightforward, straight line, but iterative siya. So, next slide, please. So, the steps to institutionalize is define purpose and scope. So, na-mention na kanina, but ito, narrow down ko siya. Develop policy and framework, build capacity and systems, pilot and refine. So we don't scale up right away. We have to pilot and then make some changes if necessary, and then mainstream in the entire organization, organization-wide. Next slide, please. And the roles of the different actors. So for researchers, generate and document evidence. For institutions, create systems and incentives. Policymakers, support frameworks and funding. So, ito yung but ang challenging dito sa atin, ang dali nating gumawa ng legislation law, no? I can imagine yung APMA, yung Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act. So, very positive ako noon. But after noon, sometimes, nawala yung parang humina yung funding, So, hindi ko maintindihan. Ganon din sa ibang mga program or laws natin. Sa umpisa, nandiyan, very hot. Pero towards mga ilang years, nawawala din, gawa naman ng bagong law, no? So I hope na nandiyan na siya. We have to encourage our policymakers to support our frameworks and funding mechanism, And then the public to provide feedback and legitimacy. They must be informed. So dapat ma-disseminate yung results natin, okay? Next slide, please. So measuring progress, we need to do some regular audits or reviews, periodic reporting on impact indicators na na-mention natin kanina, and then continuous improvement cycle. Okay, next slide, please. And these are my takeaways, no? Before I end, institutionalization strengthens accountability and learning. So this is very important because if you are really transparent and then you have already done your part and then ito yung output mo, outcome and impacts, then madali and then you learn from that, and then funding institutions will go to you, no? And then requires leadership. Dito yung kailangan kasi kung yung leader ay medyo hesitant to do impact assessment, impact evaluation, medyo weak yung system. And then we need to build credibility and public trust. So credibility meaning yung credibility naman mangyayari yan pa you are transparent in all what you did, no? Also yung protocol pwede siyang reproducibility. Next slide, please. And maybe in the discussion and Q&A we can reflect what does impact mean in your organization. What barriers exist in your organization and what first steps are realistic. I think this is my last slide. The next slide, please. And these are the references that I use in this presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Doc Kaning, for this interesting and comprehensive presentation on the institutionalization of impact assessment in research. Before we proceed to our Q&A, again, we encourage everyone to ask questions to Doc Kaning. And Doc, bigyan lang na, let us give you a peek of, of the registrants for today's episode. So, for today po, madaming nag-register. Then, there's more females than males. Tapos, age range po, karamihan, around 33% or one-third are 20 to 25 years old, followed by 26 to 30. So, we have young policymakers and researchers and scientists here. Then, sunod na yung mga 31 to 35 years old. Tapos, in terms of location, pinakamadami po so far, Central Luzon at 16%, followed by Calabarzon at 13%, then NCR at 9%, and Bicol Region. Then, lahat naman po ng region merong attendees. Then, in terms of occupation po, we have 21% teachers, professors, 22.5% researchers and mga estudyante po at 19% and agriculturist at 12.2%. Then in terms of agency, 42% po ay galing sa state universities and colleges. Then 18% are from regional field offices, attached agencies and staff bureaus of the Department of Agriculture. Tapos yung sunod na po unaffiliated. Tapos meron po tayong mga kapatid from indigenous cultural communities or indigenous peoples. Meron din po tayong person with disability. Merong members ng farmer and fisher folk cooperatives and associations such as Claveria Farmers MPC, Disadeco, tapos ayun, 222 Agri-Industrial Corporation, ito Kamsur Organic Farmers Agriculture Cooperative, and ito po, merong Baler Farmers Association, and of course, members of the Rural Improvement Club. So we have Nadungan Gataran Rural Improvement Club. So ito po yung mga attendees natin for today. So ito po sir, unahin ko na po yung magsa-start na po tayo sa Q&A portion. Unahin na po natin yung ating bar colleagues. So, sir, paano daw po kung minimal ang budget ng isang office or organization? Paano daw po mai-implement ang impact evaluation at sino daw po kayo ang pwedeng mag-implement nito?
May rule of thumb kasi ang impact evaluation sa international standard. Parang percentage siya sa cost ng project. But kung wala namang budget, siguro, hindi naman siguro zero, mayroon naman siguro. Maybe you can start small, yung coverage noong project na i-implement. And then, there are willing naman na mga, kasi yung mga nasa state university colleges, sometimes they are willing to do the work, even if wala namang ganung, yung tawag nito, malaking compensation kasi sometimes international organization masyadong expensive to hire a consultant, pero kung nasa SUCs ka, may public service commitment naman tayo, so sometimes we can provide guidance, example from the UPLB, we have different groups, the values lab namin, yung CERDAL, yung socioeconomics data analytics lab. We have the development innovation and policy lab. Then yung si area, mga DE-BAR alumni ito. So I was in BAR before for only about ilan ba ako doon? Ilang months lang ako, and then dapat na-detail ako diyan, pero ni-recall ako ng BSU so hindi natuloy 'yon. So hindi supposedly I was tasked to develop yung impact evaluation system sa DE-BAR. That was the time during the time of Dr. Ponce, but unfortunately na-recall ako ng Visayas State University, hindi nangyayari 'yon. So ginawa na lang namin yung mga iba-ibang impact evaluation but not in a research organization na may funding, kasi alam ko sa DE-BAR mayroon kayong allocation for research, but yung mga state university wala talagang naka-allocate na gano'n for impact evaluation. Lagi kami makakuha ng ano. So depende kung may maganda yung resource generation ng isang university na maka-allocate sila ganun. So that means pwedeng magtulong-tulong muna at the start, and then we can show na maganda yung mayroong impact evaluation. Then kung mayroon kang credibility and trust doon sa ginagawa mo, then funding will come in. So ganun ang experience ko eh. So papunta na lang yung funding sa iyo kung nakita na maganda yung nagawa mo eh. So ganun lang ang ganun lang sasabi ko.
Usually po, sir, around ilang percent po ng budget, based on your experience or yung mga na-encounter nyo, mga ilang percent po ng budget yung usually allocated for impact evaluation?
Parang rule of thumb lang nila yun, nasa mga 20 to 30%. So kung billion-billion yung project, laki rin ang babayad. Kasi, halimbawa, yung sa international, ano yun, no? Hindi ko pa nakita kung na-applyan dito sa funding sa DBAR or sa DOST, hindi ko pa nakita na gano'n eh. Sometimes hindi kami nagbabayad eh. Nagpalibre na lang kami kasi public service eh. So, yun.
So in case po may difficulty sila with budget for impact assessment, maybe they, as you said, they can try to tap state universities for that, right?
Yes, and then example sa UPLB, they will talk to the chancellor or the president, and then yun, bibigyan niyang sino bang willing na mag-ano dito. Basta pakainin man lang o patirahin doon sa pupunta doon, hindi man lang na kami pag-gusto pamasahe ganun. Pero yung bayad, it's part of our commitment na yun siguro public, kasi malaki ang ng university, public service commitment.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So according to sir, either top state universities or build your credentials, make sure it's a good research, good project para lalapitan na lang tayo ng mga funding agencies for that. Tapos, okay. So, eto po sir, bale nagkaroon kasi ng may brewing conversation sa comment section po natin. So, yung mga standalone questions po muna yung babasahin ko. Ito po from DBAR ulit. How would we know if the impact evaluation model or framework used is appropriate? Does it differ according to the field, and what indicators can we use to check if appropriate nga siya?
For example, kung ito ay sa mga physical research, mayroon kang technology na i-develop. So, ang nakagandahan sa physical research, mayroon kang experiment, no? So mayroon kang treatment, no, ginagawa. So mo siya, makita mo na ano yung magandang technology among the treatment. But yung impacts niya hindi doon hanggang hindi doon hanggang pag-in ng project na develop mo, na identify mo yung technology. It goes beyond on its application, and that is where the other field of discipline will come in. So nandoon yung social science, environmental science, economics, agriculture, forester, to look at those, no? So may mga iba-ibang indicators kung impact ba is more on increasing income, improving natural resource conservation. So maraming indicators, hindi ko masabi dito lahat dahil specific, context specific siya. So ito yung na i-create mo yung impact assessment team, and then interdisciplinary siya in nature para intindihan na ano yung needs. So ganun. Sa social science naman, sa economics, tinitingnan namin kung yung research, halimbawa, ang output is to develop yung valuation or yung economic valuation framework. Ito ba ay nagagamit ba? And then, in-apply ba ng mga, sino yung audience? Halimbawa, ang audience namin ay mga researchers din, sa ibang state universities. Ginamit ba ito? And then, nag-create ba ito ng more impact doon sa kanilang institutions? So, and then, tinitingnan din yung in terms of welfare. So, nag-change ba ng, halimbawa sa farmer, laging tinatanong namin kung itong without the projects and with the projects, nag-improve ba yung income nila? Not only income, but maybe social capital. Yun yung nakita ko sa yung project namin sa ECR, sa Mindanao. Tinitingnan namin not only their improved income, but also their social capital, no? Yung social capital kasi it's a more, kung mataas yung social capital mo, mapadali yung transaction. So ako, marami akong social capital, but wala akong financial capital. Yun lang ang masasabi ko. So, yun.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, basically, medyo magde-depend po siya sa kung ano yung goals and objectives talaga ng project, 'di ba? And at the
Yes,
same
yes.
time, dapat i-take into consideration, i-consider din not just the financial gain but also the social economic impact talaga.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, ito may stand-alone question. So this one is from Sir Restituto Felipe Gabuya. What is the definition of institutionalization, and how do you say that something has been institutionalized already?
Mm. Yun yung nandoon sa ano, yung ibig sabihin ng institutionalization, lahat ng mga components ng pag-conduct ng mga kailangan na ma-implement yung impact assessment or impact evaluation ay na-put in place in that organization. Like kanina, nandoon na yung purpose and scope, nandoon na yung capacity, then nandoon na yung incentive systems, data infrastructure, and so on. And then, yung external community, supported ba ito? Willing ba silang to undergo that? So, yung mga ganon, dapat na-put in place. And it requires time to develop. No? Yun lang ang ano ko na, yung, as mentioned put it in my slides, no? Nandoon siya. But talagang nandoon na kompleto siya na put in place, no?
So,
Supported by policy and framework, supported by laws or supported by ordinance or supported by memorandum, parang gano'n, no? Sa university, supported by order lang siguro from the higher administration, parang gano'n.
So kapag ano na po, sir, parang ano na siya, naka-program na talaga siya. Parang i-input mo na lang yung, it's as if i-input mo na lang yung details tapos ma-figure out mo na because everything has already been yun, na-establish na.
At saka part siya ng research cycle. So, pag umpisa pa lang, even at the proposal stage, napag-isipan na siya, no, ng researchers din, and then doon sa impact evaluation unit, tinitingnan nila yon, and then hindi lang afterthought, kailangan natin mag-impact evaluation. Ang kulang talaga lagi is walang baseline data collection. So, paano mo kayong malaman kung ano yung impact? So, sa economics, we have this quasi-experimental method. So, kasi yun lang, wala kaming hindi kami nagawa ng experiment, but we are doing this, hindi namin randomize yung treatment, so we have to call this the quasi-experimental method. Pero maganda sana kung mayroon kang baseline, and then you have with and without project, and then before and after. So from that, you can easily get the impact of your activities or your program or research.
Sobrang important po talaga, sir, ng data. Sige, sir. Move na po tayo sa sunod na question. So may mga nag-comment po kasi dito, and i-show po natin siya sa screen pa unti-unti kasi it's a conversation, and we would just be asking what's your take on the matter or if you have anything to share on the matter. Ito po. So from Sir Harbiniera, from yung NEDA daw, now DepDev, NEDA already formulated the National Evaluation Policy Framework to institutionalize systematic and regular evaluations of government policies, programs, and projects. The framework was originally released 2015 and is undergoing revision this year. So this one is from Sir Instituto. But kung na-implement na daw ba and to what extent, parang policy daw siya or not followed. So this is also again from Sir Harvey. Somewhat slow down. DepDev is just reorganizing to include an impact evaluation division. So this is from Ms. Crislin Anteneo. Kung ang reports daw po, evaluation reports of government programs and projects publicly available. And eto, I think this is also part of the conversation, still relevant. So this is from Sir Kino J. Balogbog. PIDS is very good in doing impact assessment using NEDA IA framework. Another one from Sir Harvey Yes po, but somewhat there is no centralized database. A lot of process evaluation studies conducted by PIDS is available from them. So, eto po, mahaba. Ito. From Sir Harvey, this is why a national framework is needed to make it sustainable and continuing. Sir, eto po, may tatanong po ako dito. Parang, how do you do a national framework? Pero i-reserve po muna natin yan for later. Kasi parang mahaba, may mga comments pa po sila eh. Ito from Sir Harvey again, the evaluation framework requires that before a project gets funding, the impact evaluation plan should be part of the project proposal. This is what you said earlier. And ito po, I'm not sure if this is related, but it's the same people. I think dun sa earlier question of our colleague to regarding the cost or percentage. So usually 2 million pesos for project evaluation and 2 million for impact evaluation. Then follow up from Sir Harvey. I think this is from the question posted by a bar colleague. So yung Pamana program daw po, the whole project evaluation has a budget close to 20 M, includes both the process and impact, and worthwhile daw po. Tingnan ko po kung may mga, ito po may mga may mga humabol pa. So ito, from Miss Vicky Dimaano, impact assessment can sometimes be viewed negatively by top management because it can reveal gaps or lapses. How can we manage this connotation so that the impact assessment is viewed constructively as a learning process? Wait lang po. Dagdagan pa po natin. So mahabang conversation po. So from Sir Harvey again, this is why impact evaluation plan should be incorporated in the project proposal to ensure the proper collection of baseline data. This is what we said earlier. And this is from Ms. Josephine Tolentino Garcia. Impact assessment studies, I hope, should be an essential component of our R&D generation. So, sir, what's your comment on, what's your take on this? Or what's your professional comment, or if you have any recommendations regarding this?
Yung sa NIDA, kung nandiyan na siya, that means dapat may budget allocation associated with that, kung i-roll out yan sa different organizations, para ma-implement siya, ma-institutionalize, dapat may budget allocation. Kasi marami sa atin na gumagawa ng ganyan policy, pero wala siyang budget allocation associated with that. So, walang mangyayari, no? It's like sa LGU, di ba, ganun, bago lang nila pinasa yung responsibility at saka yung yung funding. So, I agree doon sa sa ginawa sa sa DepDev ba yun? Nahirapan ako mag-pronounce eh. So, kung bago lang siya, then maybe it can be updated after 5 years, but kung ngayon lang siya, pwede nating sundan yun kasi sila yung National Development Agency, pwede siyang gamitin for any sectors in the country. So hindi ko pa nabasa yan, unfortunately hindi ko nabasa yung sa bagong ng NIDA. So I think I have to look at that kung yung nakalagay doon, but it's very nice to follow and maybe make some adjustment kung kailangan, kasi kung mayroon namang national, hindi yan usually fit doon sa local lahat, mayroon kang gagawing adjustment, no? So yun yung mga local legislation, local policy, it will not fit everything in the ground. So it's up to the implementers kung paano nila gagawin. But maganda sana maumpisahan sa national kasi dito yung mayroong funding eh. So halimbawa sa DEBAR, kung maumpisahan ninyo yung full scale na systematic impact assessment, impact evaluation unit, nandoon yung lahat ng activities sa proposal pa lang nandoon, and then mayroong midterm review, mayroong terminal review, and then impact assessments later. So mayroon ding nag-document yung tawag na monitoring, kasi yung results ng monitoring kailangan yun sa mga evaluators, kasi kung walang data, paano nila magawa yung assessment nila, no? So I think I suggest na kung gagawin ito sa DEBAR, mas maganda sana na matingnan, kasi you are funding research and for development sa different networks, sa SUCs and other research development institutions. then ma-practice yun, and then yung mga data na yun, ma-come up into yun talagang gusto kong pangarap na mayroon kang centralized data for all our research, no? Nandoon yung reports accessible, pero marami sa atin, experience ko, nakuha ko pa yung report sa Australia, colleague, hindi ko makuha sa atin, sabi ko, ang hirap naman dito. Pero I think darating tayo dyan, kung mayroon namang commitment yung leadership natin, so I will challenge the DEBAR and other funding institutions. Sa PICARD medyo sorry kasi doon lang kasi ako gumawa ng research, no. Medyo advanced yung impact evaluation system nila. Although hindi kompleto, wala din yung hindi lahat ng projects na nagkaroon na ng impact evaluation. I don't know dito sa DEBAR, sorry, di ko familiar kasi masyado. After bumalik sa BSU, wala na akong research funded by DEBAR, so wala akong experience. But sa ECR, ganun din, mayroon silang impact evaluation, and they are guided by the policy nila ng accountability sa ministry, sa trade and sa trade nila, Department of Trade and ano ba yung DEPAT? Foreign Affairs, no? So lahat na 'yon, I will encourage everyone na sundin yung framework na na-develop ng DepDev or NIDA before, and then try to fit on our system, our own organizations. Kung kaya ba, kung walang budget, that's the time na you can make some proposal, no? Make some program na baka naman mayroong willing na fund na yan, parang maging pilot, no? Kung mayroon ba every region magkaroon ng pilot impact institutionalization of impact assessment unit, maganda sana kung may magawang ganyan, and then the database should be at the national level, pero mayroong iba-ibang nag-contribute doon. Ganun din ang if you're familiar with the PINCAS law, yung bago lang lumabas na Philippine Ecosystem Natural Capital Accounting system, no? Yun din, yung data din natin, no, yung sharing. So I think yun lang masabi ko about those different conversations that so si Neri pala yung baka mayroon siyang idea. Friend kami ni Neri Harvey.
Ano po, sir? Doc, madami pa pong nag-comment. So, ayun. So far, to summarize what you said so far, so very important na meron tayong centralized baseline data. And of course, ma-put into legal systems yung ating impact evaluation and assessment. Tapos, yun nga, i-localize na lang, i-modify na lang according to local needs. And of course, i-modify siya i-update siya every 5 years or so. So, hanapin ko po, Doc, yung natin, kung saan tayo nag-stop. Kasi may mga bago silang nilagay. Ito po. So, from Sir Christian Gerard, for impact management po ba, would it be possible if baselines could integrate projects environmental impact assessments mandated by DE and REMS since it's multi-sectoral?
Dito, ang ko dyan is, ang EIA kasi parang naging compliance lang siya eh. So, ginagawa siya para ma-approve or ma-disapprove yung project, but wala siyang parang ex-ante siya eh. So, hindi siya yung ex-post. So, kailangan natin yung both ex-ante and ex-post, and then yung mid-term evaluation. Kailangan natin lahat yon. So, yun lang ang EIA medyo. And then, I don't know ngayon, kasi nung time na nag-environmental science ako, checklist lang din eh. So, hindi ganun ka-rigor yung methodology. So, sorry doon sa matamaan ha.
So, ito po, Doc, I think this is a continuation of the discussion earlier. So, from Sir Harvey Ole, PDS is conducting impact evaluation of 4 Ps, more than 10 PM daw po per wave, and 4th wave na result is available from them. Tapos, I think this is still part of the conversation. So Doc, madami ka pong i-check na sa comment section later.
Sige. And then yung budget, talagang costly to evaluate kasi if you don't have the information whether to continue or to expand the program, it's costly. Maraming nangyayari sa atin, mga program, kinontinue lang but wala ng third party evaluation. So sa akin, nag-silent na lang ako kasi hindi ako marunong mag-ingay sa social media. Pero dito, I have this opportunity to share with this audience. So yun lang ang idea ko na we need to justify the cost of impact evaluation, impact assessment kasi malaking bagay siya doon sa resource allocation later. Dapat yung impact resource kasi halimbawa anong sektor ang maganda ang impact. Doon dapat yung magandang allocation sa resource. But sa atin, depende din sa kung sinong malakas na hindi ko lang sabihin kung ito gusto kong malaki ibigyan akong funding, but ideally it should be related to the results of the impact assessment or impact evaluation sa resource allocation noong bawat sectors na yon.
Okay. Doc, I think this is the last na so far dun sa thread na nabuo natin. So this is from Sir Harvey. Harvey again, from DepDev has an annual impact evaluation budget of only 20 million per year. It can be tapped by any research organization. So that's good news na pwede siya matap. So sana ma-utilize talaga siya, ma-maximize siya, and sana mas lumaki pa yung budget for this.
Ang liit, no? 20 million per year for the whole country?
It sounds like Doc. So, anyway, this is from Sir Kino po. I think this is from a different question earlier. So, nag-agree daw po siya, and the methods for IAA keeps on changing. Madaming tools available in literature. And eto po, ayan, parang nag-agree lang siya, dapat nasa legalized talaga siya. This one, I think this will be the last question for now because it's almost 11:30 na din po. So this is from Sir G. Trinidad asking po from Technology Generating Agency, is there any simpler mode of verification of impact that we can use to decide if we are planning to do larger scale impact assessment?
Simple mode of verification. Unang-una is siguro yun kung ang technology mo ba ay acceptable doon sa users. Kasi maraming technology generated by the technology generation. Pero hindi siya ginamit, no? Yun yung number one metrics, no? Kasi hindi siguro na-consult ano yung need nila. Second is kung nagamit siya, anong results noong kasi so magba-branch out yung impacts na yun eh. So doon sa sector, doon sa industry at saka doon sa society as a whole. So hindi natin kalimutan na yung ginawa nating research hindi lang doon sa agriculture sector but maybe in other sectors sa health. Kasi mayroong impact ang research, agriculture research sa health. Mayroon din doon sa environment, mayroon din doon sa other sectors ng society. So, at saka maybe sa tourism. Kasi kung maganda yung, naging tourist area yung agriculture. So, yun. Number one is really kung ano ba siya. Ginagamit ba siya ng users. And then, financially and economically feasible. Financially meaning from the point of view of profitability noong nag-generate ng technology. Second, in economics is from the point of society. So, kasi magkaiba yung financial at saka economics eh. Yung financial is profitability ang focus. Yung economics is from the society's welfare, no? So, yun lang yung masasabi ko dyan in short. But if we do it, mahabang discussion, maraming gagawin. But there are many willing institutions like UPLB to do this, no? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. So, ayan. Basically, kung ginagamit pa siya ng ating ng target na target population and kung financially and economically viable siya, and of course titingnan yung other aspects ng ating sistema. So last two questions, sir, the usual po, Doc. So ano po yung words of wisdom or message mo sa ating researchers in the agri-fishery sector?
I hope na you learn something kasi ito namang mga na-present ko ngayon, I just gather it from different sources, literature, and then also sharing my experience hopefully mayroon magkagawa kayo ng sarili ninyong initiative on how to institutionalize impact assessment in your own organization kahit hindi pa siya masyadong fully systematic. At least magawa man lang, no? Then later on, kung magkaroon man ng funding, ma-tunnel yung funding from very popular ngayon yung flood control project, baka mapunta sa research, then mayroon tayong source of funding to do this one. Yun lang yung ano ko sa kanila.
Okay, so better start small than zero po talaga.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Thank you, Doc. So, paano po sa ating farmers and fisher folk? Ano po ang inyong message?
Ang farmers kasi ang tinitingnan lang nila is yung mayroon ba silang makakain, ano? So dapat they should always look at kung may impacts ba yung ginagawang research sa mga ibang researchers. So dapat they will also participate kasi hindi pwedeng endpoint lang sila. Dapat yung participation nila doon sa research. Kaya tinawag na ngayon ay co-design and co-development of research program. Parang at the start, mayroon silang ownership and then makita nila yung paano sila makikinabang. And then in the future, kung magkaroon ng assessment, masasabi nila na na-contribute ito in terms of economic, social, environmental, and other benefits. Something like that.
So this really needs a strong collaboration between the researchers and of course the people in the ground. So kailangan mag-participate tayo pareho because knowledge generated is not just top down but pwede din naman siyang bottom up, and we really need that para mas ma-assess natin ng maayos. So thank you so much, Doc. So madami ka pong babasahin later sa comment section, baka may mga na-miss out ka sa
baka makagawa ng paper.
Thank you po, Doc, for generously sharing your expertise and passion to the public. So I'll be reading the certificate citation po. The DA Bureau of Agricultural Research awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Canesio D. Predo for sharing his invaluable knowledge during the DA Bar Online Seminar Series, Institutionalizing Impact Assessment in Research Organization, held on the 16th of October 2025 by StreamYard and DA Bar Facebook page, given the 16th day of October 2025 in Delman, Quezon City, signed by DA Bar OIC Director, Sir Joel H. Lales. So, ito po yung certificate and we will just look for an opportunity to send this to you. Malapit lang naman po ang LB. And dito na po nagtatapos ang ating online seminar, Institutionalizing Impact Assessment in Research Organization. Muli, maraming salamat po, Doc Kaning. And we're looking forward to the institutionalization of impact assessment in our research ecosystem in the future. And of course, sa ating participants, for reminders, we already posted the attendance sheet. Siguro last 10 slides before matapos si Doc kanina. So please answer it before 12 noon to get certificates. And if you have questions on the seminar, you may contact UPLB Institute of Renewable Natural Resources or facebook.com/upLB.cfnr.irnr or message the bar so that we can forward your questions to Doc Kaning. And yan, Facebook page po namin, facebook.com/DABarOfficial or the Bureau of Agricultural Research. And on Instagram, it's @DABarOfficial. And on YouTube, if you want to visit past seminar episodes, it's youtube.com/@DABarOfficial. So once again, we would also like to thank the advocates of research and innovation in agriculture, or the ARIA Incorporated, for co-sponsoring today's seminar episode. And of course, si Dr. Kaning for leading a very productive discussion. And of course, sobrang active po ng ating participants kanina sa comment section. Thank you po so much. Doc, may gusto ka po bang pasalamatan or sabihin or gustong i-advertise, i-plug or anything?
Okay. So maraming salamat ulit sa DA Bar for inviting me, and of course doon sa ating participants for staying doon sa natin. And then kung you need some kasi we have at the institute, we have or at UP we have the UPLB Values Lab. So yung UP Values Lab, it's about valuation and accounting of ecosystem services, which is our goal is to capacitate our issues and other researchers in terms of how to value ecosystem services and other natural resources, and or put it in an accounting framework so that it is compatible with our national account. So mayroon kaming ganyang tawag noon, mayroong parang service, no? So we are open to for organizations for us to do this kind of training, so let us know. And also ang UPLB marami siyang for impact assessment, mayroong SERDAL, yung socioeconomic research and data analytics laboratory, available din siya for impact assessment, no? And also the DIPLab for more on policy impact assessment. So kung ganun, you just let us know kung ano yung need ng institutions ninyo, no? Okay.
Thank you so much, Doc Kaning. Palakpakan at pusuan po natin si Doc. And dito na po nagtatapos ang ating online seminar for today. Ako po si Tin at isang mapagpalang umaga po sa ating lahat. So I hope we're all healthy and well-rested. So take our meds. And kita-kita po tayo sa sunod na seminar at sa mga susunod pa. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you.
And thank you po, Arina.
Bye-bye.
The rising global population threatens food security, as the increased demand for food puts pressure on our agricultural resources and production systems. This increased demand intensifies problems like land degradation, water scarcity, climate change, and competition for arable land, making it harder to provide nutritious food for everyone, especially in areas already experiencing food insecurity. Focusing on innovative technologies and sustainable agricultural practices, these challenges can become valuable opportunities that can drive economic growth and technological advancement. Research for Development, or R4D, plays a pivotal role in addressing the challenge of food security. In the Philippines, an organization is emphasizing the transformative power of technology to drive the sector towards its optimal potential through Research for Development, or R4D. The Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural Research, or DA-BAR, supported by various executive orders and Republic Act 8435, also known as Agri-Fisheries Modernization Act, or AFMA. DA-BAR is mandated to ensure that all agricultural research is coordinated and undertaken for maximum utility to agriculture. DA-BAR coordinates, integrates, funds and manages the R4D system in the country to optimize its use for the sector. It is envisioned to be the lead R4D coordinating agency, promoting a technology-empowered agriculture and fisheries sector that contributes to inclusive growth. To ensure that research leads to desired results and long-term impacts, DA-BAR follows the R4D Impact Pathway Framework. It assists DA-BAR in planning, monitoring, and evaluating the effectiveness of R4D projects under rice, corn and cassava, livestock and poultry, fisheries and aquaculture, organic agriculture, climate change, biotechnology, support to technology commercialization, agri-fisheries technology business incubation, and scale-up, thereby connecting research outputs to outcomes and societal impact, aligning efforts with industry goals, and generating meaningful, measurable change. It is DA-BAR's responsibility to ensure that suitable technologies and interventions are promptly accessible for the sector's utilization. However, DA-BAR cannot accomplish this alone. It needs capable partners in cascading these R4D outputs and outcomes that will advance technology-driven agriculture and fisheries sector. Collaboration is the backbone of research, and seamless integration of interdisciplinary expertise and resources is crucial for achieving common goals. By partnering with DA Bar, we attain greater productivity in a cost-effective manner. Like the age-old adage, the sum is greater than its parts. Here at DA Bar, we firmly believe that the power of collaboration has the potential to unleash a magnitude of possibilities beyond measure. We offer funding opportunities that can substantially improve the effectiveness and breadth of research endeavors. We facilitate networks and linkages to enhance opportunities to leverage expertise and resources. And more significantly, we serve as a hub for invaluable knowledge exchange, harnessing emerging and innovative technologies to tackle pressing sectoral challenges and global issues.